Before I get started, I wanted to plug CJ's webinar next Friday, and I know she has some information she can put into the chat.
Excellent. Thanks, Kara. It's just a reminder for those of you who are working on or interested in affordable housing and flood risk. The University of Florida Coastal Housing Affordable Housing Mapper will be reviewing that from 10 to 12 next week. We have about 40 people signed up, so some of you may already be signed up. For those of you who aren't yet or interested, we will record it. It's kind of a walkthrough, and we'd like to get some input from everyone on that. So I'm going to post it in the chat now. So if you're interested in registering or have folks who are working on resilient affordable housing, we look forward to seeing you there. So thanks, Kara.
Thanks, CJ. So like I was saying earlier, this is more of a webinar format of the One Bay meeting, and it's going to focus on the LEED for Cities program. So we're really lucky to have staff members from the U.S. Green Building Council who are focused on the LEED for Cities program to help us give an overview of that program. I've also gone through and looked at some of the program priorities and tried to see where there's potential alignment for the Regional Resiliency Action Plan. And then we'll talk about some of what's already going on locally, including a USF studio, and hear from Hank Hottie with Pinellas County on how he's implementing the LEED for Cities program. And then finally, we have a little plug for the Florida cohort of the Local Government Leadership Program, which might be a good resource if you kind of hear this whole discussion and decide you might be interested in moving forward with the program. So with that, I'm going to toss it over. Actually, I want to just show you some, show you who the presenters are today. So David Abel from the U.S. Green Building Council, myself, and Dr. Brooke Hansen from USF, and again, Hank Hottie from Pinellas County. And I do want to now toss it over to David to discuss the LEED for Cities program.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Kara. And thanks for having me.
Stop sharing.
Thanks for having me join y'all today. Happy to kind of share a bit about the LEED for Cities program and the work that we do. So again, my name is David Abel. I am a senior manager with the LEED for Cities program at USGBC. And you know, my main role is with the program is to work with cities, towns, and counties that are going through the certification process, provide project management to them, kind of coaching, technical support along the way. So I'm currently working with Hank, who you'll hear from in a little bit about with their certification process. I've worked with Whit Reamer in Tampa, Jeff down in Sarasota, and a few others in your region. Work with a whole lot of Florida communities, but also several cities and counties around the country. So I just wanted to provide kind of a high level overview of LEED for Cities for everyone. For some may know about it, some may not. So I'll kind of stay high level for the most part. And then please, you know, drop questions in the chat or interrupt along the way. I'm happy to answer anything. So thanks for having me again today. All right, so LEED for Cities, you know, we would like to say we are the leading global framework and certification program for evaluating sustainability and quality of life. This is the current version of LEED for Cities. LEED version 4.9 is the culmination of an evolution of local government framework. So the STAR community program kicked off in 2007 and ran for about 10, 12 years. And then the LEED for Cities pilot was in 2016. And those two programs came together to form what is now the current version of LEED for Cities. Pinellas County certified in STAR back in 2018, I believe. St. Pete certified in STAR and recertified in STAR as well in 2015 to 19 range. So, and I previously was with STAR and came with the team that joined USGBC. So a lot of STAR is in the new rating system, and we streamline things and kind of the influences there and builds upon the success of the LEED for Cities pilot as well. So we really like to say that it was, it's always evolving, but it was also built by and for local governments, and is really about kind of helping local governments catalyze action on sustainability, equity, resilience, and health. we are also guided by our LEED for Cities and Communities working group. This is an advisory group made up of practitioners, local government representatives, consultants, and the like in the urban sustainability space. So we're a global program. There are 130 certified and 250 registered cities and communities. We align with the UN SDGs to help communities track progress as they relate to those. And dialing down to kind of Florida specifically, you know, there are 15 certified and 26 registered cities and counties in the state. In the US, Florida is our most active state with cities and counties participating in your region. As I said, Tampa and Hillsborough have certified with LEED for Cities. Pinellas is currently going through the process. St. Pete certified and STAR, and a handful of others are involved as well, registered and certified. And it really serves a diverse range of city sizes. So we do have the big cities like Houston, Miami-Dade County, as well as kind of more mid-range places like Atlanta, Tampa, and Cleveland. And then we even are working with very small places like Middleton, Wisconsin, and Durango, Colorado, as well as Jupiter Inlet Colony, which is in Palm Beach County and has about less than 500 residents. So it is a very scalable rating system and applies and can further impact on all types. So what are we looking at with the rating system? We have 9 categories. We take kind of the triple bottom line approach to sustainability, looking at traditional environmental indicators as well as social and economic indicators. Categories include things like natural systems, which looks at ecosystem services and access to green space, to transportation, looking at walkable communities, energy and greenhouse gas emissions, and then quality of life, which is kind of in the LEED world is kind of a new category for us that really expands upon the human experience and how to measure quality of life for all citizens. These categories are all made up of prerequisites and credits. Obviously, the prerequisites are required, but they kind of come in 2 forms. The base conditions just ask to demonstrate a level of quality and access for all residents to things like drinking water, sanitation services, solid waste management, and electricity. And on the performance side of that is more quantitative, asking cities to report VMT per capita, GHG emissions per capita, and the performance there determines how many points are achieved for that category or for that performance prerequisite. We also have credits, which make up the bulk of the rating system, and these are all optional. These come in the form of both outcomes, so things like green space per capita, looking at metrics around walkability of city centers, as well as strategies, which look at things like affordable housing policies. As I said, that this kind of shows that the majority of points come from those credits, and depending how many points you get, out of 110 points will determine your certification level. 40 is kind of the minimum that is needed to get certified, 50 silver, 60 gold, and 80 platinum. So why are cities doing this? Why are cities and counties going through this process? And we really see that LEED for Cities helps to benchmark progress, identify gaps, and opportunities for improvement. It's a tool to establish a baseline assessment of sustainability for that point in time, and then look for ways to move forward, to go after funding, to go after put projects into your capital improvement plans that will address the gaps that are identified. It also really helps to support and institutionalize sustainability into plans, policies, and processes. Going through the process requires engagement of a variety of departments across the jurisdiction's government. And this helps all facets of government see their role in advancing sustainability. We've also seen several places put LEED for City metrics into comp plans, climate action plans, strategic plans as a way to measure the impact and the progress of those plans. And it also, we see LEED for Cities helps to accelerate ambition, catalyze action, and engage funders and partners. So this is a way for to really show that a mayor's vision is being achieved, that it's pushing their community along, and it's a way to kind of take your results and go to funders to help them fund specific projects. We've seen that happen. I believe Chris Castro in Orlando went to a local foundation with their LEED for Cities reports and had a very specific project that he wanted to have help funded, and having that data behind it helped to justify going after that funding. So like I said, that's kind of a pretty high level overview of LEED for Cities. Didn't get too deep into the weeds, but I'll kind of pause there and see if there are any questions. I'll put in the chat.
I don't see any in the chat or any hands raised yet.
I'll also drop a link in the chat for a good landing spot to get more resources, to learn about kind of the guide and other tools we have on the USGBC website. But yeah, happy to answer more questions. And what is another nice thing for folks in your region? There are a lot of people going through the process to have some firsthand experience, and I know we get to hear from Hank here in a little bit that can provide some of that. So I'll kind of pause for here, and then I'm going to touch on our kind of a current opportunity with the LEED for Cities Florida cohort, I think at the end of the presentation.
CJ asks, how long is the process for the average community?
Yeah, good question, and one we always get and jump around and answer. So average 9 to 12 months to get to the submission process. There's a variety of factors that come along with that. So what is your capacity to take on a new project on top of your current workload? How much time can you spend working on this? Do you have access to a team that will help, an intern that can help write things? Those play a huge role. And then things like access to data, access to mapping services if you need to map anything. And then one thing that always helps push it quicker is leadership support. Is the mayor on board? Is the commission on board? Whoever it may be. Those really help to drive progress. But the tools and the resources and guidance we have, it is possible to get done absolutely within a year. We've had places submit within 3 months. We've had places submit within 18 months. With COVID and a million other factors, things can get sidelined. So I think as you take on a project, just thinking about the capacity needs you have, who are the partners that can help? How can your regional planning council help? How can nonprofits in town help? How can local universities help with the data collection and kind of compiling of information?
Thanks, David. I'll just continue to monitor the chat and see if we have any questions that come in later.
Okay.
For now, I'll move on. So I just wanted to go through sort of what I saw as the alignments for the draft version of the Regional Resiliency Action Plan. And okay, that's my first screen. And this is based on sort of the score sheet that David shared. And I also saw a guide that had these, I don't know if you call these priorities in the LEED for Cities program, but I just kind of looked through these to see where there was alignment for our current version of the action plan under the integrative process priority for the LEED for Cities. I saw an alignment with what we're trying to encourage our local governments to with green building policies. And on the right, I've kind of said, where is that goal located? Where is that alignment in our regional resiliency action plan currently? And then you'll see the ecology and natural systems priority for the LEED for Cities programs has some alignment with where we're encouraging vulnerability assessments and local government resiliency plans, as well as our ecosystem resiliency goal 5 in the action plan. And then the transportation and land use priority obviously aligns with a lot of the action plan, where we're encouraging land use policies, multimodal transportation, and alternative fuel transportation. And then water is really the biggest alignment there. There's a lot of other things that our local governments can do to align with the LEED for Cities water category, but the biggest regional alignment there is with the stormwater, green infrastructure priorities that we have in the action plan, and the actions related to mitigating urban flooding and, any type of precipitation related sea level rise flooding. And so then there were 3 additional categories, and you'll see that the regional actions are in development for power resiliency and carbon offsets. So that's something that we've heard as being a priority in recent outreach with our MPC and our elected officials steering committee. And so we're still working on incorporating regional actions that align with those priorities. There's a big priority for waste management under the materials and resources portion of the LEED for Cities program. And we have our food waste reduction goal. That's part of our food systems goal 8. And then the quality of life category, I saw a lot of alignment there. For equity and public health, we really want those to be priorities throughout the plan, but we do have some specific public health goals related to public health assessments in goal 2, as well as in our goal 4 related to healthy housing, and then goal 7 related to air quality and how that ties to public health. And then housing affordability is a big priority for the regional action plan, as well as for the TBRPC as a whole. And so that is located in our goal 4, and wherever it can be integrated throughout the plan, we want to make sure that we're continuing to look at that. And then we also have heard that community engagement and outreach is really important to our elected officials. And so we are still developing those actions, but I saw alignment here with our goal 3, which is really related to building our neighborhood level capacity to do resiliency work, and making sure our nonprofits are well equipped to work with our local governments and build up resiliency planning. So that's just kind of where I saw alignment. We're going to continue to look at how to align the LEED for Cities program with our regional resiliency action plan. We think that makes sense, as we're hearing that our local governments are interested in pursuing this program. So we'll try to make it as easy as possible to both track your progress on the resiliency action plan, as well as tracking progress on the LEED for Cities program. I did want to turn it over quickly to Brooke, Dr. Brooke Hansen, who is working on a studio with one of our local governments for LEED for Cities.
Thank you, Kara. Yes, I just wanted to mention that we've been very involved in LEED certifications for both buildings and cities and communities for quite some time. Our students worked as interns for Hillsborough County under Sheila McNamara, and we had 5 or 6 working with her. And we had several working with Whit Reamer, and we've got one right now working with Hank. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring that ad hoc internship program together under a USF LEED studio. And so LEED Lab is a training opportunity that's focused more on LEED for buildings, and LEED Studio is for LEED for cities and communities. And we pondered offering a class to our students But our students, in terms of their curriculum, they're kind of jammed up in terms of that. Many of our students are already working professionals and they want the skills and the training. And so what we're going to do is we're going to offer LEED Studio next summer, 2022, as a professional development workshop. It'll be a 6 to 8 week workshop and it'll be open to anyone. You don't have to be a USF student, because we might have some local governments that want to put some of their employees through the LEED Studio so they have a better understanding. And what we'll do is we'll hear about case examples from municipalities, and we'll choose different size municipalities so we can have an understanding of, you know, how Tampa fared, how some smaller communities fared. That'll be one part of the training. Obviously, the first part of the training will be going in detail into the entire platform. And then we'll hear from some of those case examples. And then what we'll do is we'll assist some of the members of the cohort that are coming up right now in LEED for Cities and Communities with some of their data collection. And so we can tailor that to whoever's interested in working with us and to what data sets they need. Our students are generally pretty good at assisting with the greenhouse gas emission inventories. And I'm a social scientist, so I can bring some expertise in the quality of life metrics, and we can help some communities bring some of those. So we just want to further our LEED literacy and LEED for Cities and Communities, because it will be the premier platform for every city in America. And I hope globally as well. As we saw from David's map, it is expanding quite a bit. And we are doing global international work in a variety of countries, including Serbia. And so we might actually have some projects expanding LEED in Serbia as well. So I put my information in the chat when I logged on today. And if you are a community who already has signed up for the new cohort that will begin, or if you're interested and think you might, my email is right there, get in touch. And we would like to choose 3 or 4 members of the cohort to work with next summer to collect some of that data. And hopefully that will work well and coincide with the schedule that is emerging for that cohort that needs to sign up by December. But otherwise, we do have a number of students who have to do internships as part of their program in many areas that might be of interest to communities who perhaps aren't quite ready right now to engage with the cohort process. But if you want to reach out to me, we've got students who do internships in water, renewable energy, food, policy, tourism. We could also work with you, as we have with so many communities from Dunedin and Largo and Tampa and others, to utilize the assets that we have. Our students are all graduate students, so they're quite capable and serious about doing this work to hone their professional development and getting these accolades on their resume. So do be in touch, and thank you so much, Kara, for giving me some time to promote our upcoming USF LEED Studio.
Of course, no problem. And we do have a question in the chat, I think for David. So with increasing interest in incorporating sustainability and resilience in projects, policies, and plans with UN SDGs, embedding resilience, has the U.S. Green Building Council incorporated resilience into the sustainability framework, including the Sustainable Cities platform, or if there is an interest or plan in developing a resilience-focused rating system for cities? Yeah,
great question. I was working on a response. So thanks for asking that question, Jason. So, the one that stands out the most is that we have a resilience credit, which is more of the kind of the traditional, what are your vulnerabilities and how are you preparing for them? And so all of our projects that are going through the process are pursuing that credit, but we also have published a measuring resilience guide that kind of talks about how the rating system aligns with resilience planning and things like that. And I dropped a link to the guide in the chat, but pretty much all of the credits can touch on aspects of resilience. So our integrative process talks about the importance of having interdisciplinary teams in place to help address sustainability and resilience. the natural systems credit has things related to the amount of ecosystem services or your community that can be a part of county to help absorb those shocks. And our prerequisite for energy and greenhouse gas emissions talks about ensuring there are backup power supplies and processes in place to address times of power outage, and kind of going down the list, there are instances where we might not specifically say this is about being resilient, but get at the heart of that throughout the rating system. And the guide has case studies, goes into a lot more detail, so check that out for more information.
Thank you. So then I will turn it over to Hank to talk a bit about his experience with working through the LEED for Cities program and how that's been for him.
Great, thanks, Kara. I don't have a presentation to share, so I'm just going to fly through some talking points. Some of you know me, some of you don't. My name is Hank Hottie. I'm the Sustainability and Resiliency Coordinator for Pinellas County. And I've been in the position for just under 2.5 years. And when I started, it was brought to my attention that we were a LEED certified community. And I asked how, and they said, well, we did the STAR certification and the STAR rating system. I'm like, okay, great. What does that mean? Well, we have a 3-star rating. Okay, how do I use that? And I didn't really know what to do with it. You know, we had a lot of data that was collected from staff, and you know, we went through the process and the motions and got a certification, but it wasn't, I guess, utilized before I showed up in any way of promotion or marketing or informing institutional processes like performance measures. And so I wasn't really sure what to do with the LEED certification at that point. And but I knew what it was important. This internal question and wonder for myself eventually led to us being in the 2021 cohort.
So quick plug for the kind of LEED for Cities Florida cohort that we were hoping to launch in 2022. As kind of Hank alluded to, they were part of the 2021 national cohort. And so this year we're trying something a little bit more unique. For now, we're launching a Florida specific leadership cohort based on our national model. Every year we have dozens of applications from the state of Florida. And so we're capitalizing on that interest to kind of tailor a program specific to the state that will include some opportunities to connect with other certified cities as well. So the leadership program is built around a 12-month hands-on approach towards certification, where we provide one-on-one assistance. We kick off the year with a training. We schedule regular check-in calls along the way to help with coaching and project management. We have monthly cohort calls to bring people along and share other ideas and things. And really, it's an opportunity kind of to take a point in time to dive deep into these issues and really engage deeply with other departments to get a baseline assessment for sustainability. We've worked with 50 local governments the past 3 years, 13 of which have been from Florida. And so kind of growing off of that success, we're excited to try one out in the state. So program benefits I've alluded to. You have a USGBC staff liaison that works one-on-one with you along the way. We're going to have an intern on our side to help with some of the project management and data collection. We'll have a training. We're going to have, unique to this one, a LEED for Cities mentor paired from a certified Florida community, paired with the cohort participants to help them out. There's a lot of regional data, as we've discussed today. There's a lot of information that's needed from, Florida, or not for your role at UL, but the local utilities and things like that, and state data as well that you need along the way. So I think that will be a big benefit to connect with those mentors. we help with PR afterwards with press releases for certification, and we really hope to dig into green building policies this year as well. Looking at the timeline, the call for applications is currently open. They are due December 3rd. We hope to announce cohort members middle of December and kick things off early 2022. This is just kind of a look at, we've talked a little bit about what the cycle of reporting looks like. So I don't need to talk about that too much. The orientation will kind of do an overview of how to go about it, project management on the first day, bring in some certified communities to share best practices. And then in the second day of the training, we dig into the weeds, really. What do you need to go find for the green spaces credit? What do you need to go find for, different prerequisites? This is kind of just looking at how long does it take. I think CJ asked a question about that earlier that I was able to hopefully provide some details on about. It really, it can happen in a year, it can happen in less than a year, but it really depends on a handful of things like capacity, interns, data availability. And last thing about your application, we really want you to dig in and make sure you have access to all the prerequisite data. So look at the guide, look at our crosswalk tool to kind of dig in and see what data is available. So going back to the fees thing, so the certification fee at the time that you submit, the total program fees are $10,500. $8,000 of that is the certification fee you pay at the time of submittal. To get started with the program, it's just a matter of the registration fee, which is $2,500 if you're a silver member. If not, add $1,500 to get that silver membership. So, and like I said, in the application, there is a section that talks about scholarships, and we're working with folks to kind of identify places where we can hopefully have some financial support if it is needed. Yeah, that is all my slides. Kind of ran through those quickly. I think that one thing that is definitely clear to me today is that you all in this region are really lucky with the amount of resources you have, both from the Planning Council, their willingness to align with the resilience plan to help with the identification of data they may hold. USS interns, we have seen success of them helping places get certified. That's fantastic. Not everyone has that. And then access to people that have done it, having Hank certification in Pinellas and Tampa's and Hillsborough's, that is huge. So I know more of you will get involved, and we're happy to help you along the way. So questions, I put the planning guide in there. I'll put the link to the cohort application as well.
So to apply for the cohort application, you need to be a member. Is that correct? Or can you
don't have
concurrently become a member?
Yeah, you don't have to be a member to apply right away. I mean, if you go ahead and apply, and then we can dig into basically by becoming a member, you get a reduced registration fee. It's like, I think registration is $5,000. If you're a silver member, registration is $2,500. So membership saves you $1,000.
And when would the larger chunk be due by? So you turn in your application, your membership.
Yeah, the 8,000 is due at the time of submittal. So once you've gathered all the information, all the data. So
basically the year or 15 months or whatever it takes you. So really to get you into the cohort, you would only need that
2,500, yeah.
2,500, okay. So this helps us, right? If we're still trying to encourage people to take it, go forward, see what they can do, get their commitment, go through the steps that Hank sort of described on an internal thing, identify. So, given that there's been more and more interest in it, I guess we can, help people understand what the foot in the door cost might be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, we're trying to find local partners to help sponsor and support if that's needed. So don't let the cost deter you. We are trying to be as flexible as possible with sorting all that out.